Here, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls all over the world. You know what time it is when y'all see me. It is Chill Town Hoops. I'm in effect. Yes, I am. I'm out here. And what we have tonight, this is the best part of the season for me. I'm on record saying this. This isn't, this isn't something that I'm like, this isn't rhetoric. I 100% believe this is the best part of the season. And the reason why I feel this is the best part of the season is because we find out about how these teams get put together. Not only how these teams get put together, but also who's GMing, who's not GMing, who's doing their job, who's not doing their job. And I feel like there's guys out there doing their jobs, and then there's guys that are half-assed in their jobs, and then there's guys who aren't doing their jobs at all. And a team that I think is doing their job, I like what Detroit did with bagging Karis LeVert, because I think that they thought they were going to lose Malik Beasley, and they couldn't wait around to see if this whole thing was just going to absolve itself, right? They couldn't wait around to see that. What's up, guys? How y'all doing tonight? They couldn't wait around to see if this thing was going to absolve itself. I said initially, and I'm in the minority, because I was thinking to myself, I was like, all right, what if you're the Knicks, right? You're the Knicks. Jordan Clarkson is available. Is Jordan Clarkson better than Malik Beasley? That's the question that you have to ask yourself, right? Is Jordan Clarkson better than Malik Beasley? We'll start there. If you don't think he is, this thing with Terry Rozier, when he got investigated for gambling, come to find out he had nothing to do with this, and this thing went away. But it just got resolved. And when I say it just got resolved, I mean like last month in June. It just got resolved. So you're like, all right, that was 5 months ago. So the Detroit Pistons, not the Detroit Pistons, the Detroit Pistons and the Knicks, Malik Beasley's got this nonsense going on. We don't know when it's going to resolve itself. They can't wait for this to resolve itself. So they end up bagging Karis LeVert. The Knicks won't wait neither. But the question that I have is what if they did? And hear me for a second. What if the Knicks had decided, you know what? We're going to hold off on Jordan Clarkson. We're going to wait for this thing to resolve itself. We're going to do our homework on Malik Beasley, because he's the guy that we're targeting. We're going to do our homework on Malik Beasley. We target him. We come to find out these allegations are exactly that, just allegations. He had nothing to do with this. This whole thing's going to go away. When this thing goes away, all the money in free agency is going to be gone. With all the money in free agency being gone, we can get him on the cheap. So we get a bargain. I think the difference is that a lot of teams wouldn't wait around to see if this thing was going to resolve itself. But somebody's going to get a steal from Malik Beasley, because I don't think that he's that dumb. I don't think he's dumb enough to put himself in that situation. Now, he got himself in a situation early on in his career when he was in Minnesota where he had an extension on the table for like $60 million. And he ended up getting a gun charge, threw a monkey wrench in the whole thing, right? Threw a monkey wrench in the whole thing. Now, he's got a $42 million deal on the table. And these allegations could not have come at a worse time. They could not have come at a worse time. These allegations literally, free agency opened yesterday at 6 o'clock. These allegations, they came like yesterday. Detroit takes that deal off the table. Nah, we're going to pass. We're going to wait to see if this comes to fruition. Now, what Detroit could do is Detroit could bring him back for premium play, but a little bit of money. Considering all the money is already gone. So you got Karis LeVert. They're banking on Jaden Ivey being better this season. They're banking on that, which I'm comfortable with that too. I think a lot of times we get wrapped up in free agency. We get wrapped up in just bagging guys and completely forgetting about the guys that we have on the roster already, who we need them to improve. We completely leave those guys out. And when we leave those guys out, I think we're doing a disservice, one, to our developmental process, and two, to our team. Because what we're not trying to do is, right, what we're not trying to do is we're not trying to get better. If we're leaving out the guys that we already have on the roster that we're trying to develop, we're not trying to do that. Clearly. So I think that this Detroit situation, they couldn't wait on Malik Beasley. They had to bag Karis LeVert while he was available. And I think Atlanta already knew that they were going to lose Karis LeVert because Alexander Walker was their guy right from the beginning. I think they already knew that. And because they already knew that, they were comfortable letting Karis LeVert walk out the front door. I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not. I've never been a big fan of guys walking out the front door. Never been, and I never will be. Because I've always felt like when you let a guy walk out the front door, you're doing a disservice to your organization. We got to get something for you. We have to. Now, in this particular situation, it ends up working out because you lose Karis LeVert and you get Alexander Walker. And he's one of the best rotation guards in the league. What up, SB? What's going on, brother? I think that you got lucky in that particular situation because it could have went the other way. And I think the deal, but the deal that you put on the table, he wasn't going to say no to that. And I can get with that. Sure, I can 100% get with that. Now, then you have deals like what happened in San Antonio with Luke Cornett. I love that deal for Luke Cornett. He's a rotation big. He's going to give you quality minutes. He's insurance for Wemby. I think he's going to supplement the post defense for Wemby. I think he's going to help Wemby as a rim protector, as a rebounder. You can also put Wemby on the wing when he's on the floor. It's not like these two guys are on the floor clogging the lane. That's not the case. And I like the deal. And to compound that, you still have Castle in the fold, right? In addition to having Castle in the fold, you got your number 2 pick. I'm not a fan of Dylan Harper and Foxy. I think you already have that. When you drafted Dylan Harper, you essentially said he's not Fox's he's Fox's replacement, like coming soon. Because Castle is the guy at the 2. So if that's the case, then why is Foxy still here? Right? Why is Foxy still here? I really dig what Denver did. You know, Tim Hardaway Jr., that was out of nowhere. And I love that. Because now you got a guy who can stretch the defense. And they got another backup 5-man in Valanciunas. Right? They got another backup 5-man in Valanciunas who is going to help. But the team that I'm paying the most attention to in the Western Conference, right? The team that I'm paying the most attention to in the Western Conference is the team that got the number 1 overall pick in the draft, which is the Dallas Mavericks. So you ended up bagging Cooper Flagg. In the process of bagging Cooper Flagg, you also get D'Angelo Russell to supplement losing Irv. That's a big deal. Even though Denver, and I want to make sure that I stay on point here. Even though Denver, you bag Tim Hardaway Jr., You trade for Cam Johnson, which was a big deal. I'm still still, what up media? I'm still confused. And Swiper gave me some information earlier. I'm still confused in why this deal didn't happen at the trade deadline. It's because you ended up saving some money. I do get that part. You 100% ended up saving some money. And with them saving some money, right? With them saving some money, you end up being able to bag guys like Tim Hardaway. You end up being able to bag a guy like Valanciunas, which is going to help your depth, which you need. You 100% need that. And I love that part. Dallas, on the other hand, I didn't think Dallas was that far away anyway, right? I don't think Dallas is that far away as it is. So with Dallas not being that far away as it is, you got Cooper Flag in the fold, and Dallas might have the best front court in the NBA. I'm thinking about the other front courts in the NBA. Denver with with Cam and Gordon and Joker. Cleveland with Mobley and Jared Allen, like the double big lineup. Dallas might have the best front court in the league. So you couple that with what they already have. You bring back Clay. You got D'Angelo Russell. You got guys on the perimeter to protect as defenders. I love Max Christie as a defender. He's gonna compete. With him competing, with Najee Marshall competing on the defensive end, this team is built around that. With Anthony Davis, with Derek Lively. I love that. I love what they're doing. And the other big fella that they have from Washington. Love that. 100% love that. The Western Conference retooled, and what I'm not gonna do is I'm not gonna say that Oklahoma City is sitting on their hands, because I do respect the fact that if I got a crew, if I got a crew of guys that we just won the NBA championship, it would be one thing if they were an older team and we had to retool, but they're the youngest team in the league. So now what I'm looking for is I'm looking for J-Dub to get better. I'm looking for Shea to get better. I'm looking for Lou Dort to get better. I'm looking for Casey Wallace to get better. I'm looking for Chet to get better. I love that dynamic with this crew. Don't get me wrong. I know that you want to add pieces. You're always looking to add pieces, and I can definitely get with that. You want to add pieces to what you already have, but what we already have was good enough to win the NBA championship, and we're a young team. So with a young team, we can improve. We 100% can improve. I don't want to just throw. I don't want to just throw new guys on my unit and not anticipate my guys getting better, because I don't want to screw up my guys. I want to make sure that we clear on that. I want to stick with that. What up, Matic? How you doing, brother? I definitely want to stick with that. So if I look at the landscape of the Western Conference right now, what Dallas is doing, we're bagging Cooper Flag in the draft. We're bagging D'Angelo Russell in free agency to supplement Irv, to re-sign Kyrie Irving, because I said this before this season. When they traded for Anthony Davis, I said this is a 3-year window. We got 3 years to do this. 3. We're going to get Irv back around the All-Star break. Not sure, right? Not sure when exactly, but we're gonna get Irv. We're gonna get Irv back right around the All-Star break. With that being said, right? With that being said, Dallas, Houston, Denver, those are the 3 teams that I feel like made a drastic improvement. 100%. I think that they made a drastic improvement. If I'm the rest of the Western Conference, I do have to get on my job. And I know that you guys want to talk about the Lakers and Rob is sitting on his hands. Priority number one is the 5 spot. So before we deal with James, before we deal with Luka, we got to shore up the 5 spot. Why? Because I had LeBron James in the playoffs. I had LeBron James playing the 5. We're not winning with that. No, we're not winning when we got a nightmare of a Western Conference with guys like Sengun, guys like Chet and Hartenstein on the front line. Joker, not just Joker, but Zubac, right? Zubac on the front line. When we got guys like, when we have guys like that, James at the 5 is not going to supplement. No, that's not going to work. So we got to shore up our 5 spot. We have to. And the Portland Trailblazers gave the NBA a gift by eating DeAndre Ayton's contract. You know what, my man? This is not going to work. We're moving in a different direction with you. So when a team buys a when a team, and I'm going to get to Damian Lillard in a little bit. When a team buys out a player, let's get to the bottom of this right now. When a team buys out a player, they're saying you are not in any of our future plans. We're paying you to leave. Everything that you've given us, that's it. We good. DeAndre Ayton had to eat $10 million. Of that $35 million, he had to eat 10 of it in order for them to get out of that deal. So now we find ourselves in a space where who needs a 5-man? Okay, they don't need a 5-man in Milwaukee because they just bagged Turner. And they just ate. Well, they didn't eat all of it. They're gonna spread out Damian Lillard's payments over the next 5 years. And by the way, Damian Lillard isn't done. Even though he could quit. Damian Lillard could decide, you know what? I don't want to play no more. I don't want to play anymore. I don't think he's gonna do that. But them spreading out his payments, now that opened up some bread for Turner. I'm not going to say that they got better, but what I'm not going to say is that they were stagnant. They did do something. And for Indiana to let Turner walk to Milwaukee, which is in the division with Giannis, yikes. So not only do you lose Halliburton for the season, because he's down with the Achilles injury, but then you turn around and you lose Miles Turner. You let him walk out the front door to your division rival, who you just beat in the playoffs. That's not smart basketball. No, that's not at all. Absolutely not. And then to eat Dame's money, that tells me that you don't think you can win with him. The money matters 100%. The money does matter. But that tells me that you don't think that you can win with him. Is this a failed project with Damian Lillard? Yes, it is. I thought it was a 3-year window, and we had just finished year 2. He was playing before that calf injury around March. Before that calf injury, Damian Lillard was having an all-pro season. I had him on the all-pro team. I did. I 100% had him on the all-pro team. So him getting hurt threw a monkey wrench in everything that they were trying to do. And I thought that they were going to make some noise in the playoffs. I had them beating Indiana. I did. I had them beating Indiana. I thought Giannis could beat them by himself. He had a 37-12 game. He had a 34-18 game. I to be honest with you, because he destroys them. And I'm confident that Miles Turner is happy that he ain't got to play against Giannis no more. I'm sure he's happy about that he doesn't have to play against Giannis anymore. However, them getting Damian Lillard off their books, well, not getting them off their book, them getting Damian Lillard off their roster, still having them on their books over the next 5 years. With that being said, I think I like $22 million. Now, just so you guys know, right? Just so you guys know, what up, Leak? Just so you guys know, you can't just buy a guy out and that absolves your salary cap issues. No, that's not the way that works. You can't just eat money and then, okay, we got this money off of our books. No, what that is that's dead money now. It still counts against the salary cap. So when Damian Lillard, when Damian Lillard is now bought out, that money doesn't go away. It's like in the NFL when you end up cutting a guy, but you still owe him $30 million. Okay, that's dead money. So when you end up cutting Alex Smith, who's on the books for $28 million, that's dead money. So that's what's going on with Damian Lillard. So with Damian Lillard now off the books, that's money that still counts against the salary cap. But I don't think that if you look at the landscape of the Eastern Conference and you look at what's going on with Giannis, right? You look at what's going on with Giannis, who is the best player in the Eastern Conference. I'll say it one more time for the people in the cheap seats. Giannis is the best player in the Eastern Conference. Is he the best player in the league? We can have that conversation. I don't think he's better than Joker, but we can have that conversation. He is the best player in the Eastern Conference, though. So with him being the best player in the Eastern Conference, no Jason Tatum, Tyrese Halliburton's gone. That Indiana team is completely dismantled because you lose your point guard and you lose your 5-man. So now Nembhard's going to have to supplement that. So now what does that leave us with? Right? Where does that leave us now? If I'm Giannis, I'm looking at the East going, all right, we can do it. Sure. Well, we can do it with what? Okay, Miles Turner. Even though I think he's a little soft, yes, I do. I think Miles Turner is a little soft. However, he's a viable big. He can stretch the defense. He will block shots. He's not a complete dud on offense. He will block shots. With that being said, having KPJ, who there are a lot of people who aren't fans of KPJ. I actually like KPJ as a basketball player. I do. I like KPJ as a basketball player. I like what he brings Milwaukee. A downhill guy, really good transition point guard. Not just a really good transition point guard, but he can score the basketball. I thought they were going to lose Gary Trent. Clearly they didn't. You got Gary Trent back in the fold because my guy was AJ Green. But they keep Gary Trent. Okay, so you got AJ Green playing behind him. You got Kuz at the 3, Giannis at the 4, Turner at the 5. That's not a whack 5, yo. That is not a whack 5. I've seen whacker 5s. That 5 in Atlanta with Trey at the 1, Dyson Daniels at the 2, Rishi Shea at the 3, Jalen Johnson at the 4, KP at the 5. That's a serious 5. That is a serious 5 in Atlanta. And you got Alexander Walker. You got a Kongwu coming off the bench. Bogey still on the roster. That's a serious 5. That's a serious crew in Atlanta. And Quinn Snyder is one of the best coaches in the league. One of the better coaches in the league. I love what he does. And he reaches guys too. That's the other thing that I like about Quinn Snyder. But I'm on record saying it. I'm on record saying it. I got the Cavs winning the NBA championship. They got to get tougher. With them coming off of Coro and bagging Lonzo Ball, Lonzo could very well be a starter. If he could hold up and he could stay healthy, he's going to be trouble. He is going to be a lot of trouble. One, you move off Okoro, and that's $22 million that comes off your books. You bring in Lonzo for $10 million with a team option after next season. So you're really saving $11 million. That's Okoro's money that you're saving. With that being said, you can play Garland. You can play Mitchell. You can play Lonzo. You can play all three of these guys at the same time. Lonzo's 6'6". Lonzo is 6'6" and will guard. Will get down in the stance and will guard. And I love that about him. And he's also insurance for Garland. Because in addition to him being able to knock down a shot, in addition to being a smart lead guard, he could supplement for Garland. He could supplement for Garland. I love that about him. Love that. I also love that the Clippers filled the gap, which was their backup 5 spot. I love that. Them filling the gap at their backup 5 spot puts them in space where they're going to be competitive. Now, the question that needs to be asked is, can we win it? Well, we already know, right? We already know that James Harden is going to be James Harden in the playoffs. We already know that. I don't think that that's news. We've seen enough of James Harden to know. I'm watching the playoffs last year. I'm watching the playoffs this season, and I'm thinking to myself while watching these playoffs, when is that James Harden game coming? I know it's coming. I just don't know when, but I know it's coming. And I thought it was game 4, but it turned out it was game 7. I knew it was coming. So now the Clippers find themselves in a space where you got your backup 5, you still got your lead guard in James Harden, you still got Leonard, who they're gonna bring him along as slow as possible because of the playoffs, right? You got guys on the wing and you got guys on the perimeter. You got guys on the wing and you got guys on the perimeter who won't leave Brook Lopez out to dry like they did in Milwaukee. You're not going to see him switching on the ones. Chris Dunn's going to navigate screens. Derrick Jones Jr. is going to navigate screens. So you're not going to see him switched on the point guards like he was in Milwaukee because Dame Lillard wouldn't fight over screens. That's not going to happen. That's not a part of their scheme. What he's going to do more than anything is he's going to be the best at what he does. Even though he's long in the tooth, he's going to be the best at what he does. And what that is Brook Lopez has always been a really good rim protector and a paint presence. Not a great rebounder, never really been that, but always been good at the rim. Always been good at that. So, and I know that you guys see me here tonight. Quick side note, I know that you guys see me here tonight, and you're probably wondering, yo, chill, what are you doing here tonight? My man Tony Tone, he's got a previous engagement. We will be on tomorrow night at our same time at 8 o'clock. Me and my man Tony Tone. So I'm making up for tonight. I'm filling in for tonight at this slot. But me and my man Tony Tone, we'll get back to it tomorrow night. Like I was saying, Brook Lopez in Los Angeles with the Clippers at the backup 5 spot is great for them. Is 100% a good thing for that crew, and I love it. I do. I love what he brings to that group. In terms of free agency and moves that I've seen that I'm just not happy with. I haven't seen anything that I'm not happy with. I think the Knicks got a steal in Clarkson. But the question that I have with the Knicks, which I have not gotten a satisfactory answer, who's going to coach this team? I understand that you guys are getting, I get it. I understand that you guys are getting the guys in place. Who's going to coach this team, man? That's my question. Is it going to be Mike Brown? Not only is it going to be Mike Brown, what was wrong with the coach that you had? Like, if you got Jordan Poole in the fold. There's no way Jordan Poole is playing. There's no way if Jordan Poole is on that bench that he's not getting major minutes. He's playing for Tibbs. Tibbs has to dig in that bench and play for him. He has to. No way Jordan Poole is over there, Miles is over there, and this dude ain't getting no run. He has to play him. Yes, he would, Sacred. Don't give me that shit. Yes, he would. Yes, he would. If he plays Miles, he's going to play Jordan Poole. Don't give me that shit. I'm not trying to hear that. Yes, he would. So, with that being said, right? With that being said, who has at this moment, because free agency just opened yesterday. Who's had who's been doing the better? Who's been doing the best job? So before Denver did what they did, I love what Houston was doing. Loving it. Loving what Houston is doing. Right? Love what they're doing in the offseason. Love what Denver's doing. Love what the Clippers are doing. Contrary to popular belief, I actually like what Milwaukee did, throwing up that 5 spot. I like that. I don't have a problem with that at all. I do not. I'd be lying if I said I had a problem with that. I don't. I like what they're doing. I like what they're doing in Milwaukee. He's going to make Giannis better. He's going to Miles Turner as the rim protector and the guy who stretches the defense, younger. He's going to help Giannis. He's going to help their defense. 100% love that for him. Yes. Now I got Fred VanVleet at the 1. Right? I got Fred VanVleet at the 1. Amin at the 2. Jabari at the 3. KD at the 4. Sengun at the 5. They got 11 guys in Houston. 11 guys in Houston. Cam Whitmore, Shepard, Eason, Tari. I feel like I'm leaving somebody out. So Whitmore, Eason, Tari. Oh, Tari Eason. Whitmore. Yeah, they got 11 guys over there on that bench. In addition to their 5, yeah. Houston's going to be trouble. And now what they have is, and now what they have something that they didn't have last year, which is a bucket getter, considering what their offense was. Right? They had one of the worst offenses in the league. Considering what their offense is, now they got a guy who can get a bucket for them. So whenever this offense gets stagnant, even though KD will get there too, and a lot of their offense is going to come from their defense. I'm a Sengun fan. I hear a lot of these. I hear a lot of these guys talk about Sengun like Sengun is just okay. No, I'm. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about developing. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about getting better. This is what I'm talking about when I talk about being more of a presence. So, what's the thing that Sengun has to improve on? His touch around the rim was whack earlier this year. All right, I got to fix that. I think he can fix that. With him fixing that, I think he's got to rely on that mid-range a little bit more to bring the defense in. And I think that's going to – I feel like with him relying on the defense, I feel like with him relying on that mid-range, to bring the defense in, and when I say mid-range, I don't just mean like right around the free throw line in the mid-post. I'm talking about a little bit further out, like 15 to 17 feet. Open up the floor a little bit more. Because now what that does is that opens up the offense even more for KD. That opens up the offense even more for Jabari. That opens up the offense for Amin. That handle's going to get better. And I think that they're going to be better offensively. I have to believe, considering what this Houston team did last year, I have to believe that experience that they had is going to carry over into next year. Sengun is going to come back better. Amin Thompson, that handle is going to get better. That jump shot is going to get better. That defense is going to get better. I got to believe that. I can't believe that these dudes are going to come back as the same guys. No. No way that I'm believing that. Because if that's the case, if that's the case, then why do we have these guys here? Sengun has to look at he's got to look at what he did in the postseason, and he's got to look at Coach Udoka and go, you can't see the same dude you saw last year. You can't. You got to see somebody different. Just like J-Dub, who I think this is going to be a problem because he had wrist surgery. He's going to be out for 4 months. 3 months. 12 weeks. Yeah, 3 months. So this is going to be an issue coming into this season. I think that that's going to be a problem. I think Houston can capitalize on that. I think that in addition to Houston capitalizing on that, I think that Denver capitalizes on that. I think that Dallas capitalizes on that. The Western Conference is going to be a nightmare. A nightmare. You could win 45 games and miss the playoffs. That could happen. In the 25-26 season, you can win 45 games and miss the playoffs. You can win close to 50 games and miss the playoffs. That could happen. No doubt about that. And trifecta, for you to say this right here, this is so disingenuous because they had the MVP. They had the MVP. They still got the MVP. I'm not going to argue that point, but they had the MVP. And Chet's going to be back next season. So to lose J-Dub, right? To lose J-Dub, he's going to be ready for training camp. Let's not act like he's not going to be ready. That he's with the wrist surgery, he's going to be out 3 months. He'll be ready by the time training camp opens. July, August, September, October. All right, I'll be ready. By the time training camp opens, I'll be ready. Yeah, you ain't got to worry about that. He'll be ready. But if this is going to affect his game, that's the thing that I'm worried about. That's why I brought it up. Right? That's why I brought it up. But I want to hear from you guys, though. That's who I want to hear from. I want to hear from you guys. Who in free agency do you think is winning? What up?
What up, Chair? How you doing?
What up, brother?
Man, everything good, man. Houston's making some moves for sure. I really like the Finney Smith move. It kind of replaces what Dylan Brooks brought to the table, but it's giving a good locker room guy, 3-and-D, just stay in the corner and defends. I just don't know what they're gonna do with Jabari Smith. I feel like they got a contract out of him. I think he's the only one in his draft class to get that extension.
Yep.
With the young guys that they have, it's locked and loaded right now, but it's a move where it's like, all right, we're not where we at during All-Star break. We can unload and go get a guy like a Devin Booker. You know what I mean? So that's my thoughts on Atlanta so far. I mean, Houston. I got a question for you though. What is your current thoughts on this CBA? Because it's showing some flaws in the last couple of days that in 2029, when the new CBA comes in,
Yep.
I think we're gonna have to rethink some things because a lot of teams are taking some bullets right now.
They're getting rid of that second apron. That's got to go. That's got to go.
Yes,
We got to get rid of that because that's throwing a monkey wrench in everything that we're doing.
it is. It is. And another thing, Chill. Why can't they bring
What is
back the
I,
amnesty clause?
I think that the reason why they did it with the second apron, they did that to avoid KD and Steph and Clay and Dre. Like no more of that. No more LeBron, Wade, Chris Bosh. Ain't no more of that. Ain't no more KD. Ain't no more KG, Ray Allen, Rondo, Paul Pierce. No more of that. That's why they did that with the second apron. However, what it also has done with the second apron is it's crippled teams in terms of rules. And okay, you can't. I understand that you want to get rid of the super team logic. I understand that you want to get rid of the logic of bomb squads. But if I'm building my unit to turn it into something like that organically, I shouldn't be faulted for that. And that's what Oklahoma City is doing. Oklahoma City is building their unit organically.
Right.
Houston was building their unit organically. And then now we find ourselves, because we got to pay these guys, the second apron comes up, and you're throwing a monkey wrench in what we're trying to do. The thing that you want to avoid, we're doing it, but organically, and now we're going to get penalized for it. No.
Right, right. You got to find the repercussions around it when you're not building a big three, but you're naturally doing it. So, do you think if they bring back the amnesty clause, that would at least help to where you're not penalized, just like Milwaukee, just like other teams that have a high salary guy, where you're still able to pay the role players and not get penalized in some sorts?
Yes, 100%. And here's why. So, like I said, with the second apron, right? With the second apron, if I'm in the second apron, especially if I'm a repeat offender, like that mid-level exception guy, I can't have him now.
Yep.
If I'm in the second apron, you know when like around like right after the All-Star break in March, when you got the buyout market, teams is eating deals. I can't have none of those guys.
Yep.
I
You're
can't
very
have none of
limited.
them. That throws
Hmm.
a monkey wrench in what I'm trying to do.
It
Especially if I'm
does.
Oklahoma City, right? Especially if I'm Houston or if I'm Detroit and I'm
Golden
building this
State.
thing organically and I'm paying my guys. That's why Red Auerbach was a genius. Like a lot of people won't say it, but I'm going to say it. He was a genius when he came up with the bird rights. I should be able to pay my guy who I raised whatever I want.
Yep.
And it shouldn't affect my salary cap. I raised them. And I don't want to give them away because now we got the salary cap and I got to worry about if I pay him too much or I'm going to give them to somebody else. Hell no, I don't want to do that. I want to be able to pay him what I want to be able to pay him. That's what the bird rights are for. So,
Yeah. Hey, last thing, chill. Any possibility East is wide open. Braun forces a move back home to Cleveland
no, I don't think so.
for really?
I don't think. I think this is a bluff in Los Angeles. I don't think he's going anywhere. He's 40 years old. What he's doing is he's making them do their job, which I take no issue with that. But he ain't going nowhere. No, they just traded for Luca. I want to make sure that we clear on that.
Yeah,
Even
chill.
though they got handled in the playoffs, they just traded for Luca. We can figure
Yeah.
some things out.
But chill, it's a new ownership though. You know what I mean? You don't think they're like, all right, new ownership, we gotta restart. Get Luca, let's get Jared Allen, the big man to play with. Let's go get a wing player for him. Brown got 1 year. Let's try to get what we can get out of him. I see where you're coming from, but I'm just saying because a wrench was thrown. New ownership might be like, you know what? Let's just move on.
But BD, listen to what you just said. So
Yeah.
James opts into that $53 million deal.
Hmm.
What about the farewell tour? Like that 53 million that we paid him, we're gonna make that back times 10. We ain't missing out
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
Hell no, we ain't missing out on that. No, we ain't giving that to Cleveland or the Warriors or somebody. Hell no.
Yeah.
You sit your ass right there and we'll figure this out. We will work this out.
I
But
know where to,
just like
I know where to
just like
find you.
you know where to find me at, brother. Good to talk to you. What up? Oh, I had him, then I didn't. What up?
Yo, Chill, you hear me?
Yeah, what up, brother?
What up, man? Last time I was on, we talked about that Miles Turner thing, and we talked about extending him. And this fool end up with his rivals. I look at that shit, I'm like, what?
And then
How?
not only ended up with his rival, walked out the front door. Wasn't like it was a sign and trade or
Man.
just walked right out the front door. Go ahead, yo, you good.
And we knew that's what was going to happen, honestly. Deep down, I felt like we knew the Pacers wasn't really going to offer him that money with Halliburton going down, but for him to go to the Bucks, it was just crazy. But chill, I need you to make sense of this Buck shit because Chris Haynes comes out and says Giannis is unhappy with the Dame wave.
Yep.
But they're still trying to build whatever scraps they got around Giannis.
Yep.
So are they Milwaukee and Giannis on the same page with this new development, with this Dame and Turner stuff? Like, what's going on? Are we still building around Giannis? Like, what are we doing?
Just because I'm not happy with a move that was made, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to do my thing. And
Giannis always going to do his thing. We know that.
That's number one. And with Miles Turner on the crew, he helps them. Because remember, if you don't get Miles Turner, you're going to lose Dame for the season. Now you got nothing. Because you already lost Brook Lopez. I think you upgraded at the 5 spot.
I agree.
I feel like you upgraded at the 5 spot. On top of upgrading at the 5 spot with Miles Turner, having KPJ, who isn't great in a lot of people's eyes, but I think he's good enough. And I've always felt like this. When I got the best player in the conference, I got a chance. I got a chance. I got the best player in this conference. As much as
that first round was rough, Chill, and he put up monster numbers. Monster numbers, and they were still getting whooped. They was getting whooped.
Now think about this. Think about who they got whooped against. They got whooped against that Indiana team.
That knows them like they know them like the back of their hand. Yep.
Nobody else was able to give them any. We were able to bag your big man. We took your big man away from you. So now, if you look at the landscape of the East, who do I love Milwaukee against? Well, I don't hate them against anybody because they got Giannis. Now you got Miles Turner. And I have to, and I'm not on the fence about this. I stand on this. I gotta believe that whomever you have on your roster, I'm coming back better. I gotta believe that. There's no way that KPJ comes back. He's out of shape. He's not as sharp. Knowing what's at stake here. There's no way that Gary Trent, who's nothing but a dirty work guy, nothing but that. You saw what he was in the playoffs.
Man, yeah, he was.
You saw how good he was.
He lit it up. He lit it up.
You saw
he
how
saved
good he was. There's no reason for me to think that these dudes ain't gonna come back. And I want to couple that with having the best player in the conference. I got a chance. Even though I think Cleveland is the team to beat in the East, I got a chance, yo.
Yeah, it's tough for them. But I got to talk about one more thing before I get out of here. The other dude that got waived or bought out, whatever, DeAndre Ayton. I know you talk about all the time. You know, when you see someone for so long, that's who they are, and you got to believe them after they show you for so long.
Yep.
So what we doing about the Ayton thing, man? I'm seeing Portland coming out with the reports now. He was crashing out in practice this year. Work ethic was trash.
Mm-hmm.
This is a former number 1 overall pick. You know that. So,
yep.
I mean, they were saying before the Turner stuff happened that his next location was actually going to be Milwaukee. Mm-hmm. But now I'm assuming he's going to end up in La La Land. What you think? Does he turn it around? Where does Ayton go with his career?
Well, first of all, he's going to the highest bidder. Ayton is about the bread. Why do you think? What do you think them crash outs was about? Them crash outs was about him not being able to get involved in the offense more, to produce more, so he can get paid more. That's what it was about with him. So, with them eating his money, he now goes to Los Angeles. How much better would he be with James and with Luka as a lob threat, as a pick and pop big, as a pick and dive big? How much better would he be with them dudes? Right?
They were scoring enough points. Yeah, you got it. Go ahead.
If Indiana comes in and Indiana goes, Ayton, which I don't think this is going to happen, but let's just say for the sake of argument, Indiana is desperate, and they go, yo, we got 130 for 4. He's going to Indiana. He's in Indiana. 100% he's there. No questions asked. If which I don't see that at all. I'm just.
We can't. No way. We just talking. We're just talking about it.
That's all we're doing. We just talking. Hypothetical. I'm just speculating. If Indiana came and they said, "Yo, we don't forget they tried to bag him a couple of years ago, and Portland ended up matching the deal. That's how he ended up back in Portland.
Yep.
Because they ended up matching the deal, right? So
or ended up back in Phoenix.
Back in Phoenix. I apologize. That's how he ended up back in Phoenix. They ended up matching the deal because he wanted out of there. So with that being said, if Indiana comes with the same deal, he gone. Because again, he's a free agent. The reason why he hasn't signed yet with the Lakers is because he's got to clear waivers. He doesn't clear waivers till tomorrow.
Oh, I'm thinking he trying to just talk to see all his offers. I'm thinking that's what's going on. When they ate the deal, you have 48 hours to clear waivers.
Got it. Once he clears waivers, then he can sign with whomever.
It's the defense with him, though. It ain't even the buckets. He could light up the scoreboard. It's the defense. And they need that down there in LA. But Jakopoto just got $100 million, so we're going to see what DeAndre get.
Yes, sir. We are. Good to talk to you, Vinny.
Yep.
What up?
Jay.
What up? Can't hear him. I had him and then I didn't. See if I can get him back. Yo.
What's up, Chill? How you doing?
What's up, brother?
So real quick, I just want to talk about Ayton.
Yep.
As a Portland fan, I'm definitely jaded in my opinion towards him. But I will say this: I totally agree that on the Lakers, he could be really good. Now, do I think that he might cause a problem for them in the playoffs against teams with capable, not only bigs, but just capable offenses that are high level? Yes. But yeah, that would be nice for them. My thing with Ayton is this: why is he not as impactful as Jared Allen? There's no reason why he can't be. It's all mental with him. It's all mental. It's because, like you said, he wants to be a bigger part of the offense than he honestly should be to get more money. And that's my biggest thing with him is if he just limited the ego just a little bit and he just minimized his game to rim running, couple possessions on the block, play hard defense, he could be a top 10 center in the league. There is no.
He doesn't realize. I don't think he realizes that he's going to make money just off the strength that I'm 7 foot 250, and I'm an.
And he doesn't realize that he can impact the game without scoring in a way where he can make so much money, and that's why I don't like him, because it's his mentality. That's it. That's the only thing holding him back. When I watch him play, he's good. When
Oh, he
he's
got the
on,
goods.
he's
He
great.
100% got the goods. Yes,
But he's just not
100% got the
on.
goods.
And for the amount of money that he wants,
Mhm.
unless you're a team where that can take you over the top, I wouldn't pay him. But for LA, I would consider it, because I mean, if you get him the ball the way Luke and LeBron can, I mean, he's going to finish it like 90%
Yes.
of the time. Like, he's just too much of a physical presence. But yeah, that's all I got on him. But yeah, go ahead if you want to say something.
Absolutely, man. The first thing I want to say, a quick side note, is Sam Darnold fool's gold?
Yes.
100. First of all, I thought he should have been in the league MVP conversation last year. But
Right.
with that being said, him going up to Seattle and them giving him the ball, one thing I know about Sam Darnold, he is a turnover machine.
Mm-hmm.
And what I saw last year, I'm like, that's an anomaly. Don't let that fool you.
And he was nice. He was nice.
He was
care what
awesome.
his team was. He was nice. He was
And
nice. Yeah.
first of all, he got the shaft in the playoffs because nobody blocked. Nobody was blocking for him, and he ended up getting sacked as many. They basically threw him.
Jared
to the wolves.
Verse. That's all I'll say. Jared Verse.
Give me a
That's all I'll
break,
say.
man. They threw him to the wolves. But with the Seattle team, I think they got a better offensive line. But I've always questioned Sam Darnold's, because I remember when we played for the 49ers, I always questioned his decisions in the pocket. Not on a run, just in the pocket. I always question his ability to read defenses on the fly. Always question that. With that being said, I'm watching what's going on in free agency right now, and I'm watching how much better can the Lakers be? How much better has Houston gotten? How much better has Denver gotten? I'm telling you, Mike, the Western Conference this season is going to be a nightmare.
It is.
You can win 45 games and miss the playoffs. That could happen.
Yeah.
I'm not on the fence about that. I'm not thinking maybe. I'm not thinking possibly. I think that it's a realistic possibility. You can win 48 games and miss the playoffs this season. I think the Western Conference is going to be a nightmare.
Yeah.
Good to talk to you, brother.
Wait, real quick. One more thing. The disrespect on Magic Johnson's name, Chill, I can't take anymore. And this is what I have to say. How do you watch the game 1 of the 91 NBA Finals and just take away that Magic Johnson didn't want to shoot? And the reason why, I'll ask you a question. What was Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan doing with Magic Johnson on the block? In that whole series, absolutely nothing. Absolutely not. When I watched that series, Joe, because I went back and watched all the MJ Finals because they're on NBA.com, that first series, I was astonished by his inside presence and how he could get to the rim off the post on any guard. I mean, he was making Scottie look like a child. So when you go up there and say that Magic Johnson couldn't score, that's just a complete lie. You're just lying. Yeah, he couldn't shoot, but that dude was getting to the rim on Scottie anytime he wanted, and
but he could shoot though. That was the difference. If you remember game 1,
he could though.
He knocked down 2 threes, knocked down some mid range. I'm sorry that he doesn't shoot like Jordan in the mid range. I apologize, but he's a respectable mid range shooter. Yes, he is.
I agree with that.
Magic was a respectable mid range shooter. Magic on the box. The problem that we have with guards like Jordan at 6'6", Mike was too small.
Yeah,
he couldn't deal with Magic on the block. That's why they had to make the switch. That's how Jordan got in foul trouble, because he couldn't deal with them on the block. So what am I going to do? What am I going to do?
You just gotta let it go.
I'm going to keep fighting. I'm going to keep fighting. So good to talk to you, Mike.
I mean, yeah, you too. You have a good one.
What up?
Oh shit, I'm next. Join the show. I wanted you to have a conversation because I kind of wanted to listen to your perspective of it. I was saying that, and I don't know how close I was to the truth or not. I was saying that the skills and the fundamentals that's happening in the EuroLeague is closing the gap on the talent in the college draft. Like the draft in college in the States and in America, the talented players that get drafted 1 through 60. And it all derived from us getting Jacob Dement. But just saying that with all of the skills and development that's getting put into the Euro leagues for them to come to the NBA, is that narrowing the gap between who's better between the players in the NCAA and the Euro leagues that do come to the NBA?
I don't think it narrows it, because I think the style of play in the EuroLeague is different than the style of play in the NBA. You could be as talented as you possibly can. But the problem is if you can't play that style of ball, then it doesn't matter. And when I look at what's going on in the EuroLeague, a lot more action off the ball, a lot more ball movement, a lot more pick and roll, not pick and roll, I'm sorry, a lot more pick and dive, a lot more back screens, a lot more understanding the game in the EuroLeague, as opposed to in the NBA. There's not nearly as much action. There's a lot of one pass, one shot. There's a lot more going on in the EuroLeague, not just in the EuroLeague, in the international game. The next opportunity you get, Breeze, watch that Australian national team. When I tell you that that's some of the most beautiful basketball you are ever going to see, you talk about action.
Yeah.
And when I say action, I mean not only are guys touching the basketball, but we're going to get something good. They just don't have the talent. That's the problem. If you got that kind of action on Team USA, if you got that kind of action in Croatia, right? If you got that kind of action with Serbia, man, please.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna do what you asked. I'm gonna check out Australia. But my last take is, I think that for one, Jordy Fernandez got a little bit of pull. You know what I'm saying? I think the whole MPJ getting to the Nets, that was him. As you already know, Chill. He was the assistant coach before Jokic was getting those MVPs, and you know what I'm saying.
Yes, he was. He was.
And I think that MPJ is going to help Danny Wolf become a good stretch big this first season.
Okay, I can get with that. I think you stole Wolf, by the way, in the first round at that
Stole him?
I think you stole him. Yeah, I was surprised that he was around at that time. I thought that he was going in like the top 20. I was surprised that he was around at 27 when y'all picked him. I was.
Yeah.
That's a big time pick for y'all. Big time. No doubt.
Right. Nah, thank you, Chill.
Absolutely, brother. Good to talk to you.
I like it.
What up?
Yo, what up, Chill?
What's up, brother?
What up? What up? What up? Yeah, it's been a crazy off season. With Luke Cornett, he went to the Spurs. I was wanting him to either go to the Wolves or stay with the Celtics. I don't really see how he can benefit the Spurs since they already have Wemby. So
Wemby doesn't play as much down low as Cornett does. Wemby plays a lot in transition. He plays a lot on the wing. He'll play down low, but he plays a lot. He plays further away from the basket. He plays more of the Euro style ball. Cornett is more of a dirty work guy like you like. He's more of a pick and dive guy around the rim. So I think that's going to help San Antonio.
I know it can definitely help them offensively because, like you said, Wemby likes to stay on the perimeter, and Luke Cornett can get some offensive rebounds. But defensively, I just don't see how both of them can stay on the court together because they both really don't guard the perimeter. Wemby can guard the perimeter good because of his size, but you want him more in the paint to protect the paint. So yeah, I don't think that works there. And then DeAndre Ayton, if he goes to I don't really see him going to the Lakers. He probably will, but I don't think he should go there because he probably is, but I've never really seen him as just like a lob threat. I've always seen him as a guy that like could like shoot in the mid range and but he can be a lob threat. So
he was that with Chris Paul. Chris Paul utilized him as a lob threat. I think that with Chauncey Billups, he's developing Scoot. So Scoot isn't really a lob threat kind of point guard yet. So with that being said, that still was a transition for DeAndre Ayton. But he was definitely that when he was playing with Chris Paul. Definitely.
Yeah, but I really want the Timberwolves to get a big though, man, because I really wanted to get off Rudy Gobert. I appreciate what he's brought defensively.
Yeah.
But I think now with Anthony Edwards, he needs to take the next step offensively in his playmaking, and I don't think Rudy Gobert can get him to that next step.
Who are you replacing Rudy with though? I mean, because there's a reason why they're one of the better defensive teams in the league. That's because of Rudy.
Right. Well, that's why I wanted them to get either Cornett, or Ayton. I think Cornett or Ayton could take Anthony Edwards to that next. What Ayton now can take him to that next step offensively because you like Chill. If you watch the games, they don't trust Rudy Gobert in the paint.
They don't.
The points that he has to get off offensive rebounds, which he does. He does have games where he kills the glass, but some games when he's not just killing the glass, he's not engaged as much, and they're not going to get him the ball. And I don't think Anthony Edwards can grow to reach his full potential if he doesn't use that more. So it may mean that the Timberwolves may have a few
losing seasons which they're not accustomed to. But for them to break to that next level, I think Anthony Edwards needs to reach a new playmaker level, and he
So you
can't
want to
do
go
that with Rudy
backwards?
Gobert.
You want to go
Yeah,
backwards?
yeah, I'm cool. I'm because he's so young. I'm cool with them taking a few steps backwards to go forward because he's already shown you he's a winner. It's not like he's missed the playoffs. He's already been to 2 Western Conference Finals, so he really doesn't have nothing else to prove now but win a championship. I
I
don't
don't
want
want to
him to
waste
be
any.
like I don't
I,
want him to be like a Karl Malone or like guys that or Steve Nash that never can reach that next level, but they were always consistent. I'm cool with him taking a step back to take a few steps forward.
I don't want to waste any of Anthony Edwards' years doing that. And I'm no, I just feel like we're in a space where we can maximize him, where I could get another 4 or 5 more years. I feel like taking those steps back, what you're talking about with a rotation big like Luke Cornett, I would be wasting Anthony Edwards' years. I don't want to do that. No, I'm
So
good.
you don't think you're wasting his years with just keeping Rudy Gobert? Because do you think Donovan Mitchell wasted some years in Utah when they were just
No, I
getting to
don't.
the playoffs? They were never making it past the second
Mm-mm.
round. They
No,
were
I don't.
always good, but they could
Mm-mm.
never be great. You don't
Well,
think that was wasting his years?
no, I don't, because I think that they ran up on teams that were just better. I think that was the biggest problem. They just ran up, like, for example, that Dallas team. That Dallas team was just better than them, and that wasn't because Rudy Gobert got played off the court. And when they ran up with that Clipper team in 21, I thought that Clipper team, if Leonard could have stayed healthy, they were going to the finals. They were that good, and I thought Rudy Gobert. I thought he gave them everything he possibly could. I mean, that Terrence Mann output, just so you know, he never did that again after that, ever, against anybody else, ever. So I just don't want to waste any of Anthony Edwards' years. I feel like we're at a space right now where the window, especially with the parity in the NBA, where the window to win is just it's this wide open, and I just want to maximize that. I don't want to waste any of Anthony Edwards' years. I'm absolutely not. So, but good to talk to you though, brother. I appreciate it.
All right, man. You have a good one.
Yeah. Yeah. Y'all know what time it is when y'all see me. It's about that time for me. It was good to see you guys tonight. Y'all know where to find me at. If I'm not here, you can find me weekdays, 9 a.m. on TikTok, Monday to Friday. If I'm not there, you can find me on the panel right here on YouTube on the Players Choice Network from 11 to 2 with the fellas. If you can't find me there, you can find me right here on the Chilltown Hoops Network weeknights. Me and my man Tony Tone, we do it on Tuesdays. Tomorrow we're doing it on Wednesday nights. You can find me there. If you can't find me there, you can find me on Thursday and Saturday, 4 o'clock on Thursday, 12 o'clock on Saturday. Me and my man Big Ox on the Players Choice Network. We do Chill with Chill. So I'm not hard to find, guys. I will see you guys soon. Until then, put on a suit, drink water, don't drink and drive. Hey, man, call your mother. When last time you talked to your mother? Call your mother. I'm actually going to see my mother this weekend. Call your mother. I will talk to you guys soon. But until then, take it light. Take it. Absolutely, man. It was good to see you guys tonight. This was good stuff. I enjoyed this.